Had a few days when I went almost back to normal again. It sort of started last week on the Sunday. I noticed that I had gone out for a walk and I was walking fine most of the way, but on the way back my walking deteriorated. And then during the week, I don't know, I was feeling a little better. I just thought I'd go out and try and trim some shrubs that we got, and I managed it okay and was fine. And the next day, we've got a vegetable patch, and I wanted to get it dug, and knew that my wife really, though she would do it, she would find it difficult. And so I went out and I dug for about a quarter of an hour and was okay. In fact, I noticed by now that my walking was fairly normal. And then the next day I managed to dig the rest of it over, sort of doing a quarter of an hour, then sitting down and a quarter of an hour. Because I can't say that I'm obviously not that fit anyhow, so it was going to take some time. But I was noticing that my walking was fine, my coordination was fine, very few, if any, involuntary movements. My legs weren't feeling stiff. The messages to my legs seemed to be going through the right way. My hands were pretty much free and to do, and weren't stiffening up after I was doing repetitive things. And basically I had Friday, and then Friday evening, late in the evening, I noticed I went to get up, do something, and my walking wasn't right. And I just guessed that it was, just overdone it that day. Saturday I got up and I was again pretty much okay. And I was able to go out and do a little bit more digging. My wife was off work and we were able to go out for a walk and did various things, and had a really good day. Not a huge amount of walking, but more than I normally would. But what was so nice that my illness wasn't in the back of our minds all the time, which is always a good thing. And then yesterday morning we went out to church, which we haven't been to for a few weeks, and singing's a problem for me. I've got a good voice anyhow, but I found in recent years that my throat gradually closes up and my voice goes, which it did. But by the time we'd finished the meeting and then stayed afterwards for a cup of coffee, I was starting to feel unwell. That's about the best I can say. I just wasn't feeling right again. And that really continued throughout the day, and my walking, although it was okay in terms that my legs weren't particularly stiff or that I was having problems getting the messages to them, I was walking much slower again, and not being able to push to walk to the same speed as I was the day before, because the day before I was walking at a normal speed, the same speed that my wife would walk. But I noticed that had already started to change, and today it's even worse. I just come back from a short walk. I say short. If it had been when my legs were working well on Friday, I probably would have done it in there and back in about half an hour, but it took me an hour, so it shows you things slowing up, not necessarily at the moment getting the stiffness, but these things always it's been nice the last few days because I felt I've achieved something. To be able to look out in the garden and to see that digging that I did and the preparation I was able to do it's just made me feel so good. And the feeling that I was getting well, and I start to question myself every time this happens, and I've not learned in the last 4 years because I am an optimist and I tend to look for good things, and I started to think, well, perhaps, yeah, again, perhaps it has been all in my head, because how can you go from struggling to be upright, struggling to even think straight, and I've been actually doing a lot of reading and studying the last few days and been able to absorb most of it without too much problem. Not being able to get messages to your hands and your feet properly, having muscles that stiffen. How can all these things be there and then just suddenly go? And then I start to think, well, perhaps what I've been calling nonsense from what psychiatrists like Simon Wesley and co say, perhaps they're right there. Perhaps it is all down to something that's happening in my mind. And you start to doubt your own sanity, but then it starts to go again. And no matter how much positive thinking, how difficult you try, it makes not the blindest bit of difference. I've tried to analyse what the difference is between how I was last week and how I am gradually becoming again now, and I can't find the connection at all. All I know is that I seem to now be going back downhill. I'm hoping that the hill isn't too steep and I don't sink too far. What I really would like is to wake up tomorrow and feel like I did 3 days ago and be able to go back to normal and be able to plan to go back to work and doing things that I enjoy without a payback, but that's not going to be the case. I started to wonder whether it was ME because I felt so good while I was doing these things. And I've said, who knows? Perhaps I have. It is somatization, but that makes no sense to me. All I know is that my body has gradually started to go back to how it was. It's almost like a suit of armour has been put on me and everything is starting to become restricted again. And I don't understand it. So that's my update. Am I fed up? Yeah, slightly. I should never have let my hopes get up. Am I confused? You bet, because it don't make any sense to me. And there's no point going to a doctor because it won't make any sense to him either. But I did enjoy the few days I had. I just wish it continued. Anyhow, it's enough of me rambling on, and I will speak to you sometime in the future, no doubt. I won't be making the video yet. Well, they were right all along and it was all in my head, which I had planned to make. Okay, I'll speak to you sometime.